Jen, happy Thursday. Long time no see. Thank you so much for the super chat. I appreciate you. I hope y'all are having a wonderful Thursday. I have some updates before we get into our live. First and foremost, we're going to be bringing back the weekly lives. These used to run at 7-ish. Very heavy emphasis on the 7-ish because y'all know timeliness is not really my strong suit. I'm gonna change the time to 5:30 p.m. So around 5:30-ish. So that'll be good. So hopefully it'll be a little earlier so I'm not keeping y'all late into dinner time. So it's good seeing all of you. Hi, Queen Dara. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into it. So today we are going to cover Miss Jen Shah. Little sham scams and scandals, and we are then going to get into her alleged money laundering, specifically that she's pleading guilty. So it's much less alleged now. She's admitting that she's done the crime. Okay. And we're going to get into the credit repair scheme, the scam, because 3 different people sent it to me and I thought it was very interesting. It's a little bit different than the usual credit repair scams that we see where people are scamming each other. Instead, allegedly she decided to scam financial institutions and the police department. And, it's very, very interesting. Chelsea, I hate this braid photo, which is why I continuously use it. Which brings me to the next part. So when I first decided that we were going to cover Jen Shah, I think actually last year in April when this first came out, this is one of the first lives that I did. It might be like the second live that I did. And it's because she decided to show up in court on her first arraignment in braids. In braids, giving very much racially ambiguous, possibly Black woman that she is not. And I was like, what was the reason? What was the reason, Jen? What was the reason? So I figured, that we would cover it back then. And, since she decided a few days ago to plead guilty to her scamming, yes, Blue Courts, put a little razzle dazzle, on her scam. What bothered me more back then and still to this day is that the braids are very neat. Whoever did them did a very good job. Mess. So yes, Jen decided to plead guilty, but plead guilty to what exactly? Let's get into that. All right. So a little refresher on what Jen did and what she was originally indicted for. So Jen was indicted, let me make me small. Okay, great. Jen was indicted back actually in 2019, right before the pandemic. Right at like the cusp of it, but the indictment when she was actually arrested and questioned was filmed live on Bravo in the taping of Real Housewives. So if you're not familiar with Miss Jen Shah, she is one of the housewives on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, which is in Utah. So she was indicted on 2 counts. One was conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Oops, sorry. And the second was conspiracy to commit money laundering. So essentially what Jen did, because now she's finally fessed up to her foolishness, was she essentially reached out to and scammed elderly people over 55 years old. Let me make myself a little bit smaller. And essentially what she did, she was running the sales floor of what was a national money laundering scheme where they would reach out to people. So you know how you get robocalls? There are apparently in the United States alone about 100 robocalls per person in the United States made a day, which is wild. And that was the last time I checked those stats. So they're probably higher now because the last time I checked them was when I originally covered this case. So essentially, most of us just ignore the robocall and we're like, it's a scammer. It's literally now, if you have an iPhone, it will pop up and label them as a scammer. So most people ignore them. However, sometimes people answer. Sometimes people are expecting a bill collector to call them, or they owe money, or for whatever reason, they're bored, or elderly person, they don't know any better, they're answering. So the minute you answer, Jen essentially would put them onto a separate list called leads. So now that you've answered, maybe you're more likely to feed into the scheme and buy services, be able to be sold services, etc. Services as in a loose term to get scammed. So the majority of the people she targeted and why her crime is so egregious was older people that are 55 and older. So One of the count was for money laundering, so essentially what she was doing with the money, and the second count for wire fraud actually is where she's probably going to get the bulk of the time because she has essentially accrued an enhanced penalty. So let me go through this. Let me make myself small. Y'all know I cannot see. So essentially, according to the U.S. code, if you target someone, so to B, if you target persons over the age of 55, shall be imprisoned. So if you specifically target older people, shall be imprisoned for a term up to 10 years in addition to any term of imprisonment imposed under those sections respectively. So not only do you serve the time for the wire fraud, you also serve time for specifically targeting older people, which she did. She has admitted in her guilty plea before the court on the 11th, which is earlier this week. On Monday, yes, she tearfully regretted, yes, I'm sorry that I specifically targeted older people. It's a special place for people that target their own, and also a special place for people that target the elderly who are just trying to mind their business. They don't know, like the phones that we have today did not exist literally 10 years ago. I remember when the first iPhone came out when I was in college. Like, it's very disingenuous to specifically be like, yeah, I'm scamming. Wrong. Also, scamming older people, which her sentence could carry up to 30 years in prison. So for a long time, she maintained that she was innocent. She claimed that she didn't know what was going on. She thought she was a saleswoman, an entrepreneur. At the height of her Bravo career, she had 4 assistants. And I have the same question that I had in the original live that we did about this. What does she need 4 assistants for? It's very much giving Erica Jane. It's just foolishness. So this is from the clip in Vulture. I was going to put the Bravo clip in, but Bravo, sometimes when you use their clips, then they do a copyright strike. And y'all know I need the monies for my student loan payment. So as recently as March, Shah continued to maintain her innocence during the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I was like, where are they at again? Reunion special on Bravo. And quote, "I'm fighting this," said Shah on the show while crying. "I'm innocent. I will fight for every person out there that can't fight for themselves because they don't have the resources or the means." And this is where the problem with Miss Shah, why Miss Shah is problematic, and why her wearing braids is problematic. Where are we? On my blind self. Hold on, let me lean in. Okay, can't fight for themselves because they don't have the resources or the means, so they don't fight. I will fight because number 1, I'm innocent, and number 2, I'm going to effing represent every other person out there that can't fight and hasn't been able to. Jen is pretending that Jen is a poor woman of color who has been downtrodden by the legal system, that the legal system is going after Jen, when in reality, the legal system very much goes after Black women, Latina women, very much so, very much throws the book at people. Jen is not one of those people. Jen purposely, and has admitted now, that she purposely sought out older victims who did not know what was going on to bamboozle them out of millions of dollars. Jen has the resources. They're stolen. Jen acting like she's this indigent person is very disingenuous, which is why the more she talks, the less sorry I feel for Jen, to be honest. And to Kendron's point, she's more egregious than Erica. I think they're one and the same, because Erica's husband most famously defrauded victims of I think it's Lion Air. I'm not sure exactly the name of the airplane that crashed, and everyone unfortunately passed away. So their families. And Erica likes to claim that she didn't know. And I'm just like, girl, please. No one is buying that. No one is buying that. Yes, type effectiveness. She's fighting for the sisters. I'm not sure what sisters those are. Maybe, it's the sisters of the convent, like Sister Mary Clarence and them, that don't exist in real life. But child, it was Lion Air. Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought, but I wasn't sure. Child. Mess. All right. So now that Jen has changed her guilty plea, a lot of people are wondering why. Most famously, when this first came out, she had an assistant named Stuart Smith. That was her first assistant. She used to refer to him like as her partner, her business partner. They had known each other for over 10 years. He, along with about 20 or more other people, can't recall the exact number, were also indicted. This was a national racketeering scheme. Multiple people set their mind to defrauding older people. Trifling. Trifling. So he pled guilty way back in November. And so essentially what most people, if you have kept up with the case, the thought process was when you enter into a guilty plea with the government, you have to give them something. It's not just, oh, I'm guilty. Okay, now that I admitted it, I get less time. No. It's very much, I would say, a reciprocal relationship, but not really. It's usually a very predatory relationship between whoever is pleading guilty and the government. In this case, he is not some victim of circumstance. He's committing crime, defrauding old people. So I don't particularly feel bad for him either. However, the idea was since he pled guilty so long ago, he most likely during the trial, which was set to come up in November, was going to testify against Jen. I believe it's November. Her sentencing hearing is definitely in November now, was going to testify most likely against Jen. Now, I highly think that is the reason why she was like, you know what, 30 years? Like this man, we know each other for 10 years. He knows all my business. She knows that Stuart, nobody wants to go to jail. Facing 30 years imprisonment. Also, because they both were indicted, both of their lawyers instructed them not to talk to each other. So they are no longer friends. Because whoever tells first and says like, hey, actually, so-and-so was doing all this and so-and-so was doing this gets less time. So I really think that's probably the reasoning behind her all of a sudden saying she's fighting for the girls to being like, you know what? Okay, I apologize. I was scamming. I wanted to live lavish in my rented house and do nonsense. Yeah. That is not going to get her off the hook though, because the maximum amount of time that she could get is 30 years. The judge may still throw the book at her. She probably is looking at, if she's entering guilty plea, maybe 10 to 11 years. Probably will sit in federal prison maybe 3 to 4 years, I would guess. She's not walking away with just, an ankle bracelet. That's not what's happening. Jen is most likely spending time in jail, federal prison. And on top of that, she has been ordered to pay restitution. So just a little recap there. She pled guilty July 11th. She has been agreed to forfeit $6.5 million and to pay restitution up to $9.5 million. Now, I'm very bad at math. However, I'm not that bad at math to know I don't think Miss Shah has all of that money. She's going to be on a long, long, long payment plan for a long, long, long time. Restitution is where you pay back money to the victims. And then the forfeiture is for ill-gotten gains. So basically all the money she made off of these elderly people. This is going to be very interesting in November to see, A, how much time she gets, and then B, how they are even going to set up her paying this money back. I really think that they should have her pay the restitution first. So the money to the actual victims before the government comes in and collects their money. So this is going to be very interesting. Yes, that's my question. Because Bravo is paying well, but not that well. Not shy of what, $17-ish million well? Around there? Yeah. It's going to be very interesting. All right. So the next thing we're going to go through, let's go through before we get to the credit repair scammers. Let's go through the comments really quick on this, and then we'll get into the credit repair scammers. I'm done with you, Chelsea. Get off. Foolish. Exactly. This is a great question. Do you know if her husband knew, especially him being a lawyer? I'm very surprised that hasn't come up as much. My ear came out. Hold on, sorry. Which is very interesting. There has been so much less scrutiny on him versus whenever it is the husband doing foolishness. Like, for example, we talked about a few last month before, I don't remember. The Chrisleys. I was like, what are these people's names? We talked about the Chrisleys, and the main question was, since Todd is getting sentenced, as well as the wife, how much did she actually know? It's interesting since Jen is the confessed scammer, there hasn't been a lot of looking into the husband, which when Phaedra and when Apollo went to jail, people were very much like, Phaedra is a whole lawyer. You didn't know what this man was doing on the day-to-day? So I would be curious. I'm always on the side of most of these spouses, in my opinion. It's very hard to not know. You would have to be very committed to closing your eyes, in my opinion. Like, what else are y'all talking about? What else could y'all possibly be talking about? All right. Okay. Do, do, do. This is a good point, though, Chelsea's making. To be honest, I don't think he knew. He's a college football recruiter, and they were about to divorce when they came on the show. So I feel like he was hardly in the home. That's true. If you don't see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. If you're not there, and football recruiters usually have like a very hectic schedule, and he's sports recruiting. So be very interesting. Yes, he was a lawyer first, then pursued his dream of being a college coach after a few years of practicing. Yes, I do appreciate a recovering lawyer, because that is a rough life. All right, so let's get into the other types of scammers. Now, this case is a little bit interesting. And so a few of you sent this to me, which was this Houston woman, which we're going to play a quick clip, was arrested yesterday for running an illegal credit repair business to fix customers' credit and essentially defrauded allegedly $3.3 million. Who she allegedly defrauded the money from is the interesting part. It's not her clients. So let's get into the quick clip that y'all sent me. And let me make myself small so y'all can see this, and then we're going to talk about it.
Jumpsuit. 29-year-old Rokisha Brisby was led in front of a judge today.
More and more folks are coming forward that have used her to try to fix their credit.
After being arrested Friday for what investigators call a multi-million-dollar credit repair scheme.
She went and basically would manipulate police reports.
Court documents linked to Brisby's social media. Her website says your credit won't fix itself.
She used my front page of the police report with my name on it.
But Precinct 4 Constable Mark Herman says it was under the guise of that business, Rose Credit Repair, where he says she would commit illegal activity, falsifying police reports to increase her clients' credit scores.
Well, she submitted police reports on these folks' behalf, saying that the monies that were spent were fraud or stolen, and this is the police report to prove it.
An alleged scheme, the constable says, actually worked.
Many of these financial institutions basically reversed the credit for these people, and it did make their credit scores, better because they had a police report on file.
Until Herman says one of those institutions reached out to his office with questions.
We noticed that the case numbers did not correspond with our current case number system.
He says that.
All right, and we're going to get into that. What? I'm trying not to laugh. What really took me out was the constable being like, wait, she used my name on these police reports. I didn't file these. Listen. He was so confused. He was so confused. Like, wait a minute, I'm not getting in trouble. I didn't file any of this. I'm following the procedure. Not doing it. Not today. So, in an interesting turn of events into what is interesting for multiple reasons, usually when we talk about credit repair, fraud, because it is rampant. And it is rampant. And we have talked about this when we covered Dana Chanel, that her husband owns a credit repair company. And that credit repair company has very awful reviews, has a few people suing, saying, Regin, what is this? You didn't help me. I don't want to say most, but my spirit feels that most. You don't need a credit repair company to fix your credit. Actually, we're going to go through how I fix my credit for free, so you can fix your credit for free on here, live, if you would like. A lot of these credit repair companies essentially take hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars from people who are not familiar and do not know, and essentially take their money and don't fix their credit. And it's usually a sham. And then months later, people will then sue and say, like, hey, like, I'm one of hundreds of claimants that so-and-so took my money. They didn't fix my credit. And it's always the CFB, the Consumer Bureau, always saying, like, hey, you need to watch out for these credit repair companies. This case is very different in that she did not scam her clients. She took their money, and she then decided that she would file false police reports on behalf of her clients and did indeed fix their credit. So technically they received the services that they paid for. This is a mess. So let's get into how Rakisha got here and how this can't see anything on my screen. Oh, here we go. Okay. Thank you. The CFPB. I was like, I'm saying half of the acronyms and not all of the acronyms. Thank you, Queen Dara. So how Rakisha essentially started this. The indictment, which I read through, and I'm not going to show the whole indictment because there's way too many people's names in there. It is public information, but besides the people that are going to news sources, I don't think like it's appropriate. So I've tried to I have blacked out their names. But essentially what happened is her indictment is specifically from 2021, 2022. So again, the feds will look at you for a hot second and they will catch you in your lie. So for context, Rakisha filed 133 fictitious reports to several financial institutions, which the victims, in this case, and I'm saying victims loosely, are financial institutions. They're other banks. They're banks that owned debt. That's who her victims are. All right. So, how she even got into this, the allegation is that this person, we're just going to call her Jane Doe. Jane, me and this earring, I don't know what happened. I need to buy new earrings. No, I don't. If there's one thing I spend my set little amount of pennies on for fun, it's earrings. It's earrings and food. So, let's call her this person Jane. That's not their name. So Jane essentially was the victim of identity theft. Being the victim of identity theft, she submitted a legitimate police report. This is not Rakisha. This is before she even met Rakisha. Jane submitted the original police report and her credit went like completely tanked because whoever stole her identity racked up all this credit card debt, did whatever. And once she got all of that removed, her credit was still bad. Like she already had bad credit on top of it. Okay, so Jane and her husband, Joe, decided, okay, let's go on Google. I want to find a local person because I would like to go to their office. They can walk us through this process. I want to find a credit repair company. Up pops Rakisha's company, which the company is called Rose. Hold on. Make sure we get the name right. What is the name of the company? I think it's called Rose. We'll get that. Rose Credit. Yes. Okay. So Rose Credit pops up. They go and they meet with Rakisha. Rakisha tells them, okay, $100 to $200 a month. They're going to pay me around there. All of her clients stated around $100 to $200. So I guess I've forgotten the amount per month. And I'm going to fix your credit, allegedly. After a few months, Jane realizes her credit isn't gotten worse. It hasn't gotten better. She's like, sis, I've given you all this money. What's the problem? So Rakisha then says, okay, allegedly, send me all these documentations. And some of these allegations are not necessarily allegations because I looked through the 441 pages of the complaint and all the screenshots of the emails are there. So I don't think she's not getting away with this. So in sending all the documents to Rakisha, Jane also sends her legitimate police report from when she was the victim of identity theft. Rakisha then allegedly uses that same police report as a template, which is why the constable looked confused. The template she used and falsified 133 police reports on behalf of her clients, stating, if I was a client, Stephanie never bought those earrings. Stephanie has never bought an Ankara top. Stephanie lived in apartment 2-5, and when she moved, someone stole her identity and bought all this Ankara and all these things. And then the banks were then saying like, okay, yep, we believe you, because it's a police report that she allegedly falsified, and would remove that I even made any of those purchases. So they would remove the debt from my credit report. My credit report would be great. I'm a happy customer. I have nothing to complain about. Yes. So this is an example of one such police report. Now, when you look at it, it looks very normal. I'm assuming a police report looks like this. Where I've blacked that out is people's personal information. However, where some of it is, the Deputy Gutierrez, unfortunately, about 100 of them are filed under his name. He didn't file any of them. So I'm sure he walked into work very confused when people were asking him, like, what is this? What is this big case that you've been working on, that you're filing all these police reports for all these people that are getting scammed in our county? Lord, listen. So with that being said, she is, let me go back really quick to, hold on. Computer is having it stay. Is it working? Why is it? It's stuck. Okay. She is basically facing 2 charges, forgery and fraudulent use of identifying information. Both are class 1 felonies. So the fact that she thought that this was going to work, I think is very interesting. What is more interesting is in some of the articles I was reading. So in the actual complaint, it literally lists out, there's just picture after picture after picture of false police report. So the one that I pulled up basically stated, we can read some of it. Upon arrival, I, Deputy Gutierrez, which mind you, Deputy Gutierrez is nowhere to be found. He's like, I didn't file any of these things. I never talked to any of these people. Made contact with the complainant, identified as, who stated she discovered on a credit report website by the name Experian, she had multiple account charges to her account that stated she did not open. So, child. She stated she believes her social security information was stolen from the mailbox at a previous apartment complex where she previously resided. She provided me with 3 pages from the Experian report in which I have scanned and attached to this report. Be advised on the property section of page 1. And mind you, the formatting is all over the place. So it's like small, big, because basically it's a template. Like she didn't fix the text or the sizing of the text, are the accounts that she said she never opened. Oh, Lord. So with that being said, the way that this came to light, and part of it in the why it's coming to light, essentially all of her clients are getting roped into it, because if you are the client, the police first were tracking this because the bank, Ally Bank is one. Ally Bank, I guess the way it worked is they bought a bunch of debt. When you are finally in collections with your debt, as in like you've ignored your credit card for 6 months, they're like, you know what, I'm not calling you anymore. They send you to collections. When they send you to collections, whatever financial institution is buying your debt for like literally pennies on the dollar. Their goal is just to get you to pay something and more than what they purchased it for. So say you owe God, I was going to do math. And I was like, that's a bad idea. Live math is not. Let's do $100 because y'all know. Say you owe $100. Basically, you owe Chase Bank $100. You have to do small numbers. You owe Chase Bank $100. Ally Bank, after you have not paid your credit card for however long, Chase has closed your account, you owe the $100. Ally Bank will then buy it maybe for like $10. They buy your $100 debt for $10, but they will call you saying, hey, you owe $100, run me the $100. You can negotiate with them because anything over $10, they've made a profit for. So let's go through how you would do this in a live situation, because honestly, there is no need for these credit repair services. There's very little need. I have yet to see somebody tell me or explain to me why that they should be charging the amount that they're charging. I mean, or this illegal thing, which technically worked, but back to the original point, is getting her clients in a problem, because essentially what happened when the banks caught on to this, because the banks then called the precinct and were like, okay, yeah, we received this. We just want to verify it. This is number one. Bank received 74 of these. They're like, oh, okay, this is number 60. So, just want to check Officer Gutierrez that everything is Gucci. And Officer Gutierrez is confused. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I never filed any of those. Like, let me see it. This is false. They then contacted, the only person's name on here, mind you, is the debtor, is the person that hired Rose Credit Repair. So once they contact the person that hired Rose Credit Repair, hey, I noticed that Ally Bank just called me. I'm Officer Gutierrez, the real one in the flesh. Ally Bank just called me and a funny thing happened. They showed me a false police report. Did you file this? To which all these clients are like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't file anything. I hired a credit repair service. I paid my monthly fees and I didn't ask any questions. So, yeah. there's plenty of evidence against Miss Rakisha because none of her clients rightfully want to go to jail for something that they didn't know was going on. However, I do think it's interesting, and honestly, I would be very pressed to feel bad for the actual financial institution. I'm not going to feel bad for them. The majority of this is very much predatory to begin with. However, falsifying police documents, falsifying police reports is objectively wild. This is objectively wild. The hubris of somebody who scams at these levels, I find very fascinating. And we should do like more videos about that. And maybe we'll do like a little mini scammer series because I don't know how people get there where they're just like, whatever. One of the main reasons why I also think she finally was caught too is she was on Instagram, and a few of the articles this came up. She was on Instagram saying, I'm doing all these wonderful things for my clients. She was living lavish. Instagram always tells people telling themselves, living good, living up, looking cute in her office, doing all these things. However, while she did lower the credit score of a lot of her clients, she didn't lower all of their credit scores. She didn't file reports for all of them. So the ones that did not get their credit score fixed were then a little disgruntled. And then they then went to the police precincts and counted themselves as victims, saying that they were bamboozled because they were not receiving the benefit of the good credit. Yeah. A tangle web you weave when at first you try to deceive. Mess. So let's go through how you fix your credit by yourself for the free, because I think in the last student loan video, it's either the last one or the one before, there's a budgeting one. I'll link it as well. I think it's the one before. We're July. It's June. Oh, it's late. It's May. It's the May student loan video. I went through, before I paid off my student loans, I paid off, I think it was like $20,000 of the credit card debt. 21-year-old me didn't have much sense. Just gonna be honest, didn't have any sense. No one taught me about credit cards. I didn't know what I was doing. I would max it out, pay it off, max it out, paid off. I did not comprehend how any of it worked. So my credit was bad. And to fix that, I had to do a lot of research to fix it by myself. And the main reason was whenever I looked at the credit repair company, something about it never sat right. I was like, all these people seem sketchy, because the main thing is the CFPB, the Consumer Finance. Lord, I'm always messing up this darn acronym. Bureau. Where's the other one? Dara just told us, and I just forgot again. Look at that. Anyways, the CFPB, it is a federal law that you are allowed to receive one free credit report per year, annually. It doesn't cost any money. You see any website that's trying to charge you money, it's already a scam. They're scamming. They're trying to get, I'm done with you, Chelsea. No, absolutely not. Never. The minute you see that, y'all should report me immediately. Something is very wrong. So it's free. You don't have to pay for any of these services. So how you access your free credit report, when I figured this out myself through a very painful way. First and foremost, Credit Karma is free. You just sign up for it. Credit Karma is very reputable. Credit Karma, as of the last time I used it, very much has the highest privacy standards. You make a free account, emphasis on free, because I don't always people charge anybody. Make a free account. It'll pull up your credit report. Also, there is a website, which I have it here, which let me just put it in the thing. The annualcreditreport.com, which the federal government runs. You also get a free credit report. Wonderful. Free, because it's your credit report and people shouldn't be charging you for it. So once you get your credit report, you have to look through everything and make sure, like, okay, did I actually buy all these things? 9 times out of 10, you probably did. Let's be honest. You did. It's fine. No point in badgering yourself. You bought the things then. If you didn't, then you have to go and call and dispute that with the either Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian. There are 3 different credit reporting agencies. It doesn't matter which one you dispute it with. You have to dispute it with them. So then you're going to write out your debts. So this is what I have to do. Honesty is good. And I highly recommend pen and paper. Write them out in order. How much you owe. You owe Chase credit card, $3,000. You owe Macy's. People shop at Macy's. Macy's has good sales still. Great. And Macy's surprisingly partners with a lot of Black-owned businesses. I've gotten some very cute Black-owned earrings from Macy's. So Serena Acres, those earrings I got from Macy's. These are Hoop Mob, also Black-owned. So write them out, who you owe, and then write down the interest rate. The interest rate is going to be scary, particularly if it is, I would say, like consumer debt. Most consumer debt is 20% and up. Once you do the math, you will realize you have to pay it off because it's so much money. It's just compounding that you owe. So once you write out all of your debts, you're going to write them from, I would do like smallest to largest. So debt snowball is where you pay off the smallest one and you pay off the largest one last. And the reason is like psychological. That's the way I've done my student loans. The reason being that, okay, like you get little wins and you feel good about yourself, that you can stay on track. You can do it by percentage, which is debt avalanche. If you do by the interest rate percentage, mathematically, paying off the highest interest rate first is a smarter thing to do. I'm just going to put that out there. Will that make you feel good inside? Maybe, maybe not. It's up to you. It doesn't matter as long as you pay that off. Those are the two types: debt avalanche, debt snowball. Next, you'll call each creditor because remember, if you are in collections, the collections people don't actually want the $100 you owe. They only paid $10. You could pay them $50. You can negotiate with them. You can just tell them, listen, I don't have all of it. I want this. Then you can get a smaller amount, so you don't have to pay the whole thing. Do that. It's better for you. Negotiate your payment plan and then pay it off. That's it. That's it. There's no need for you to go to the credit repair people who 8 times out of 10 are just thieving money. 8 times out of 10. So there's that. Highly recommend that y'all avoid those people. I think in terms of Rose credit, this will be very sadly interesting to see what happens with her. And also I would say, like, in terms of credit card, like if we're going to talk about it, unless you get a travel credit card that gives you legitimate perks and you have good money management skills, which you have to assess for yourself and be honest. It took me a long time. Like, it wasn't until I started paying off my student loans 2.5 years ago that I firmly was like, oh, I have good money management skills. At that point, I was 29. Anything before then, nonsense. Just utter chaos and nonsense. Truthfully. So yes. All right. So that was that. Listen, you have to avoid these people. So let's go through the comments. Kyrie, or start with the small and get the dopamine, then switch to interest-based. Yes, that's also a good idea too. Whatever is going to get you to get on track, to be honest. And once you do that, you can tackle it. It is daunting, the starting. Once you start, it just becomes a habit. It's like paying my student loans. Because I've paid with every single paycheck since February of 2020. It's just a habit. I don't feel a way about it. Sometimes I do feel a way about it, but the habit is there. So once you make a habit, and you'll feel a lot better. Once I paid off my credit card debt, I felt so much better. All right, so let's get into these comments. Also, it's hot in here, so I'm gonna turn the AC on. Who's messaging me? Okay, let's go through this. Listen, I mean, she was helping people in the wrong way. Because listen, do you know how mad I would be if I'm over here like trying to get my life together? I paid this woman who seems really nice. She's doing well on Instagram to help me, and the police are calling me, asking me if I'm submitting false documents. The fact that she thought is very interesting. It's very interesting. All right. Yes, he's number one. All of those courses that he charges people for, it's free information on the internet. It's free. It is free information on the internet. Thank you again, because child, I had forgot. Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, the CFPB. All right. What's going to be interesting, I think, in her case particularly is since all of these creditors removed the claims from these people's credit report, their credit scores, a lot of them, their credit scores they reported went up. I'm very curious to see if the financial institutions are going to be petty and reassign that onto them, which would be awful because essentially they're going to try to seek restitution from her for the money. It's $3.3 million. So I think they're just most likely going to make her pay it instead of the people. So because this, it's not going to end well. It's not going to end well for anyone involved, which does essentially make her clients in the short term, she lowered their credit, she upped their credit score, in the short term. But in the long term, she's definitely victimized them. All right. A true clown, child. A clown. Exactly. Per report. There were 133. This is just a lot. It's the boldness. It's the audacity of a scammer. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. All right. It's only one for now. It's a first degree felony charge. So yeah. Type effectiveness. There are endless resources on credit repair online. Don't let these people scam you. Exactly. It's online. They're like, we just went through a very short version, but a short version of what you can just do for yourself. It can be done. It just seems daunting at first. Getting started is the hard part. But what these credit repair companies sell people on is convenience. They sell people on, this is convenient. I'm going to do everything for you. You don't have to lift a finger. Nah. If someone's telling you don't have to lift a finger on something, automatically no. I've seen what I need to see. I don't believe you. If you want good, your nose have to run. Like, no. Absolutely not. All right, Marcus Vision. I've seen so many paid influencer ads on IG about credit repair and they turn the comments off under the ad. Anytime I see somebody have credit repair, credit whatever in their bio, immediately ignore. You could be the nicest person God made. I'm not speaking to you. It's giving scammer. I have yet to see one of these companies that doesn't have reviews where the clients feel that they have been scammed. I have yet to see one. There is no need. There is no need for it. All right. If you've just tuned in, scroll to the beginning. All you're going to see is forehead and comments. All right. Listen, she had Deputy Gutierrez working hard. I know that man was confused. New Nubian. What made her think she would get away with falsifying police documents again? She must. It's the hubris of a scammer to me that I find like awful, but also fascinating. Like if you had set your mind to doing something sensible, could have been much better off. Like what was the reason? Listen. Jasmine Smith, she also had full-on videos explaining how to increase credit limits by exaggerating income on applications at least 60K. Don't worry about them verifying, they won't. Now, it's a good point, Jasmine. So if someone is telling you, I'm great with money, I can help fix your credit, I can be your financial advisor, and they don't have anything to back that up, they don't have anyone to say like, oh yeah, I worked with so-and-so, it was great, or yeah, I used to work at whatever financial institution, or yeah, I know how to do this. This is a prime example of people doing nonsense that is literally counterproductive. If someone is trying to fix your credit, they should be trying to tell you, hey, you need to live within your means. You make $5,000 a month. You are spending $10,000. Obviously, you're in debt. You don't have any money. Or, hey, this job is underpaying you. You need to push them to give you a raise, etc. If someone is telling you to exaggerate your income on applications so you can increase your credit limit, increasing your credit limit does what? Allows you to take on more debt. That's what it does. to get you into a bigger problem so you can then turn around and go ask this person, hey, Rakisha, can you help me again to lower my credit debt because we increased my limit and then I blew it all because Rakisha was not teaching them good money management skills. Lord, listen. I mean, that would have probably gotten her to at least 200 false documents, versus 133, because the plug and chug wasn't really working in the form that she made. Lord. Oh, man. Yes, she was. Thousands of dollars for various people. At one point, for one set of people, I believe one company received about 72 false police reports for 72 people, and it was over $1 million. So a lot of the people she was alleging to help actually had lots of credit card debt and could benefit from actually learning about how to manage finances. And also, people have debt for different reasons, so not shaming them at all. When I had credit card debt when I was younger, it's because I didn't have any sense and I didn't have any money. When you don't have any money and you don't have any financial sense, it is a bad mixture of nonsense. When I was in law school, I didn't have any money. So I was like, oh, credit card, great. It's like somebody just gave me money. That's not how that works. That's literally not how that works. All right. New Nubian, I just mailed letters to the bureau again last week. It's straightforward and cheap. I've had items removed just by sending letters. Exactly. You can always contest things. So for example, say that you feel like something was predatory, that you're like, yeah, I tried to pay for the service, but I never got the service. So it's in collections, and you can contest that. You can say like, hey, I paid $5,000 for this service. I never received the service. Now this person has put me in collections, but like I should never have to pay for that in the first place. You can send them a letter and dispute it. Oh, this is a great update. Queen Dara, well, medical debt is now deleted by their credit reports. Medical debt was one of the things that was continuously on there, which was awful. Like the fact that only in this country, medical and debt in one sentence. So sad. So sad. All right. Jasmine, I saw the video with my own eyes. Another finance person was pointing out who not to listen to and played the vids in full. She legit used the words exaggerate and they won't. Oh, she is going to jail, most likely. Yes, I think we will. I think we will do a mini scammer series. Yes, Rod, we're doing, this is about Rose credit repair. So yeah. All right. DD, as a former prison guard, I've talked to a lot of these types, scammers, and they just really believe with their full chest that they are way smarter than everyone. I was talking to Victoria about this. So, hey, Victoria girl, if you're watching earlier today, and she was saying something about, when you accidentally, if you do self-checkout, if you swipe the wrong thing at the grocery, or if it rings up at the wrong thing, that she felt nervous. And I was like, that's how I am. I'm terrified. I'm like, I'm gonna get in trouble. Like, what is this? Now, for certain things like, liberation, whatever, light it up, minute business. But for like stealing things from people, I'm just very confused why anybody would A, want to do that, but B, in terms of for no reason. If you're stealing for food, it is what it is. I just don't understand how someone could really think like, I'm going to outsmart the whole Harris County police department by using a botched version of their template 133 times. She shouldn't have done it. If she had gotten to 25, 133 times, she just was like, oh yeah, this is working great for me. It's going wonderful. The level of hubris is objectively very wild. Very wild. All right. Yes, this has actually happened to me. One girl tweeted she paid off her debt and the score went down. They want you in debt. Yes. So I noticed that when I started paying off my student loans. So for context, if you don't watch the student loan series, that's totally fine. You should watch it though, particularly if you have debt. I think it's kind of helpful. If anything, at least you'll have a fellow debtor to cry with, if anything. Basically, I started my student loan journey at $304,000 owed. As a recovering lawyer, 75,000 of those dollars are just in predatory interest of money I did not borrow. Yep, because the government is trifling. And I noticed I have now, in a little over 2 years, paid off 140 grand. I used to make a decent salary, honestly, as a lawyer, finally. 140 grand, so I still owe like 171, I believe, as of today. $1,000, not $171. That would be great. And what I noticed is whenever I paid off one of the loans, I had 22 loans. I only have 3 left. I have my big 3. When I would pay off one, my score would go down. Which is another like conversation around that our credit score system is actually predatory. Because why would someone's score go down when they are doing the right thing and showing that they are financially responsible with money? So there's that, but you have to have good credit to qualify for a house, to buy a car, in certain counties to get electricity. Mess. America, yes, this. The America literally thrives on debt. They encourage it and then they shame you for it. Yes, exactly this, Dee. Exactly this. That would be great. I would love that. I'm voting for that. Yes, let me know. Rod M, all these companies claiming to get rid of your debt or removing inquiries of late payments are lying. Exactly. They 9 times out of 10, they're not telling you the truth. They're not telling you the truth. I got rid of Sally Mae. Thank God. I only have Fed loan now. Sally Mae is the worst creditor, and I stand by that. Sally Mae will call you multiple times a day. Multiple times a day. It's like, Sally, I didn't have the money when you called at 3 p.m. At 6 p.m., I still don't have the money. Like, I don't know what to tell you, girl. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, man. Yes, store credit cards are the worst. Don't get one. That was my first credit card, was Macy's. I learned that lesson quick. Macy's will also cut you off quick. I was like 19 years old. I don't have any sense. All right. Doing well on Instagram. Awesome. Let me remove that before people think that we're doing like credit repair. We are not doing credit repair. I'm just telling you what I did to pay off my credit card debt, which you can do too because it's free. Collection debt falls off your credit after 7 years, right? Yes, exactly. And the argument being made on Twitter, which I meant to put some Twitter screenshots and I forgot, so sorry about that. The argument being made on Twitter is that these banks that are buying the collections debt are buying it for pennies on the dollar. So they're not really paying that much in order to like make a profit. So as long as you pay something, they make a profit. And the Twitter argument, which is interesting, Twitter is an odd place, was, well, technically in 7 years, the debt gets erased. So did she really steal anything? I was like, no, she did. Like, stop the nonsense. She did. Whether or not we feel bad for the financial institutions, that's valid. I don't know. However, it's still an objectively wild thing to do and a mess. And she has caused problems for all of her clients that she did this for. All right. The PPP loan prosecutor said because it is so rampant for Fed charges, they have sentencing guidelines. If they return the money and turn over the loan originator, they may only get probation, if that. The PPP scam people also objectively wild. All right. And this is great point, Galen. If financial institutions are treating you wrong and breaking rules, contact the CFPB. A credit union that wasn't going to acknowledge an error they made kept charging me, sent an apology after CFPB. Yeah, that's what they're there for. The CFPB is there to protect consumers. So You just send them an email, send them a letter, and they'll go fight on your behalf for free. So if someone tells you that they're coming on behalf of the CFPB and you need to send them $100, they are lying. They are scamming. It is free. Actually, it's not free. Your taxpayer money is paying for it. So it is a service you are owed as somebody who exists in this country. All right. Okay. All right. Does she have a membership fee? I think they were paying monthly. Yeah. All right. I'm done with you, Chelsea. People are going to read these things out of context and be like, Stephanie's for credit repair? No, I'm not doing credit repair. It's nonsense. But if you do want to join the Patreon for content that's on there. All right. See, Queen Dara, I negotiated a discounted rate for the hospital and paid in full upfront. The hospital tried to collect the debt against me. I mailed a copy of the receipts. Yes, always keep your receipts. Because these people, they'll try to charge you twice. And if you don't keep track of your things, yes, it's tedious. Yes, it's annoying. Yes, the banks, the institutions, the hospital, whoever you owe the money to should keep better bookkeeping. But they're not going to because they don't give a damn and they like to get over on people. So I would definitely say keep your receipts. So then you can do this. Exactly. All right. I agree, Antonio. I'm not going to cry for any corporation, to be honest. I'm not going to cry for them. So he said that for the new ones, which I'm very happy for everyone with new student loans. Basically, capitalized interest on student loans is when let's just do the grad student loans, because that's really where the issue lies. It doesn't happen. It only happens with unsubsidized loans in undergrad, but for all grad loans, they're all automatically unsubsidized. So with unsubsidized loans, and specifically grad loans when you're in law school, medical school, any graduate degree program, film school, which is a waste of money, don't do that. Your student loan interest starts accruing the day you sign. The day you sign for that student loan, interest starts. Doesn't matter that you graduate 3, 4, 5, 6 years later, the interest starts that day. When you graduate, so when I graduated from law school 3 years later, they tell you, okay, great. So while you were sitting there learning how to be a lawyer and all that cute stuff, you accrued, for me, $30,000 of interest was automatic. Now, instead of just saying like, okay, the $30,000, that's just separate interest. No, they put it on to your principal balance. So now that your principal balance is higher, your new interest that will start accruing is higher. So Biden changed it because it's predatory. The whole system is predatory, but specifically that is so predatory to where now if you take out a student loan going forward, there is no capitalization of the interest. So there is no adding of your interest to the principal to therefore make new interest higher. Us regular old folks that have the old ones, he hasn't said anything yet, which he needs to address that, because my interest rates when we end forbearance, which right now is set to end if you have federal student loans, August 31st, my highest interest rate is 7.4%. My interest alone on my remaining 3 loans will accrue at $12,000 of interest a year. If I don't refinance them, which I will refinance them. That comes with pros and cons, which when we get past forbearance, when he finally says, fine, send y'all to the wolves, we'll go through refinancing and like how that works. So I've refinanced one once, literally 2 weeks before the moratorium started. So hindsight is always 2020. But yeah. All right. Well, on that note, this has been lovely. It's like Elizabeth Holmes defrauding the Walmart family. Exactly. The fact that she thought she was going to get away with that, hubris. The hubris of people is very interesting. Listen, don't let social media run your life. That is a good conversation to always have. All right. Okay. I would say anyone can fix their credit 100%, and you can figure it out yourself online 100%. Sometimes, honestly, I think people are tired. Like, say you work 2 jobs or like you work really long hours, you have kids, and that's who these credit repair companies prey on. They prey on people that they know are destitute and tired, which is a shame. It's inherently predatory. All right. I'm done. Have obligated they have to obligate funds by September 30th. Even Stephanie has to issue. I need to go check this out. SBA grants. I don't know what that is. I will look into that. Under Fed loan, they included us too. I will look at that. For what it's worth, Fed loan, if you have Fed loan, so like now we're just random student loan conversation. So in case you're just joining now and you're like, what are y'all talking about? If you have Fed loan as a servicer, I guess because I've been used to them now, but their user interface is nice. I know where everything is. I can see my interest rate. Like, I feel like they do a decent enough job now, probably because people have complained about not trying to like hide what you owe. Whereas like my friends that had Navient, mess. Sadly, though, Fed Loan has canceled their federal contract. Fed Loan is a servicer. Fed Loan, Navient, Sallie Mae, they're all student loan servicers for the federal government. The federal government actually who has your debt, has our debt. Fed Loan canceled their contract, so everybody on Fed Loan at some point this year, they have yet to put a date because they keep pushing it back. We are getting sold off to another student loan servicer, which I'm not happy about that. I like my things to look the way that they've been looking. So, which when that happens is going to cause a lot of paperwork commotion. So, to what a lot of people have been saying that they've paid off a debt and then whoever they paid the debt to, my hair is doing a weird thing. It's driving me crazy. They've paid off a debt and whoever they paid the debt to has been like, oh, you didn't pay anything, pay me again. The likelihood of that happening when you switch your student loan service provider, not of your own fruition, when they just randomly reassign you, is likely as well. So definitely I would say now and every time, like you make maybe like once a month if you're making payments right now. I know 90% of people are, but aren't. But if you are, if you're making student loan payments right now and you have Fed loan, I would just download the history of payments. So that way, when we do get booted to someone else and they try to act like you owe 200 grand when you only owe 30 grand, you can slap them in the face with the receipts. For sure. Because the likelihood of them being like, no, you owe all these things is very high. Very high. All right. Oh, yeah. I can't stand Joe. William, I want that this place gets raggedier every moment. It does. I saw someone else ask that. Maybe it was you, maybe somebody else on the Roe v. Wade video. If you haven't watched the Roe v. Wade video, it's finally up. It took a long time. It's finally up, so I watched that. And we did the Roe v. Wade Patreon live on Sunday. So if you want to watch that as well. All right. Small Business Administration. Oh, interesting. Listen, I'm so glad, like, it's just the luck of the draw. They just assign you whenever you take out the loan to whatever service provider. But Navient, absolutely not. Absolutely not. All right. I believe that. I mean, I believe that because I feel like they think like one of these days, one of us will become unhinged and, which, I wouldn't be surprised. All right. Let's go through. All right. So we've gone through all of it. Okay. Wonderful. I'm done, Blue Quartz. The new scam. Download the history and Rikisha. Some payments of the documents. Well, on that note, I'm glad we'll be back on our schedule. So we will do a live every Thursday now. Finally. at 5:30 though. We're gonna do 5:30 Eastern, so it'll be a little bit easier in terms of dinner time. And yeah, so if you ever have like any suggestions, any requests, feel free to just send them to me on Instagram or tag me. Some of y'all tag me, which is also fun too, on Instagram, and I'll see it, and then like I'll just add it to like our list, the list of maybes, or I'll let you know like if we're doing it. So yeah, so this one, like 3 people sent to me the rose credit case. So I figured everyone was interested, so we talk about it. So we will do, we will do probably like a little mini scammer series just because I find them fascinating, but also is slightly entertaining. It's slightly entertaining. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie about it. So yeah, on that note, I will catch y'all next week. There are a few videos. I'm gonna do the severance video, so that should be hopefully up next week. I think that'll be interesting. So I think it'll be interesting, the lens. So if you haven't watched Severance, which is on Apple TV or wherever you find it, watch it. So that way there are no spoilers. Excellent show. It, particularly if you work in corporate or know somebody that works in corporate and you see how miserable you or they are, or I was, yeah, you'll very much enjoy Severance. Excellent show. So we're gonna do a video on that. Absolutely not. My dad, I'll end on this, to troll me, because my dad thinks that he's very funny. He is sometimes. He will send me Dr. Umar videos because he knows it irritates me and gets under my skin. And he'll send them very early in the morning too, because he also wakes up super early. Rude. Very rude. All right. Well, y'all have a good almost weekend. I will catch y'all later. Bye.